The night I realized my own daughter was helping poison me, something inside me didn't break, it hardened. At 71 years old, after surviving a stroke, I expected to fight my body, not my own blood. But the moment I saw my son-in-law smiling while I struggled to hold a glass of water, I understood this wasn't illness. This was strategy, and I was the target. My name is Leonard Hayes, a retired structural engineer who spent for decades studying how buildings fail. I knew how to spot stress fractures, how to read invisible damage before collapse. What I didn't expect was that the same principles would one day help me survive inside my own home. After my minor stroke, my daughter Vanessa insisted I needed full-time care, and her husband Derek took control of everything with unsettling confidence. At first, I tried to believe it came from concern, but the details didn't add up. My medication schedule kept changing without explanation. My belongings were constantly moved, and conversations I clearly remembered were dismissed as confusion. Derek would sigh heavily in front of others and say I was slipping fast. Vanessa would avoid my eyes, nodding along like it hurt her to agree, but not enough to stop him. Then came the plan to send me to Florida. They framed it as a medical necessity, better weather, specialized care, a fresh start. But I built that house with my own hands and calculations, every beam placed with purpose. Leaving it behind felt like abandoning my own spine, so I pretended to agree. I packed a suitcase, let them believe I was compliant, and quietly made a different arrangement. I rented a broken-down room across the street from my own home. The wallpaper was peeling and the windows barely shut, but it gave me a clear line of sight. Every night, I sat with binoculars, watching strangers walk into my house. Not friends, not family, but men with cash, women dressed for late nights, and cars that never stayed long. It didn't take long to understand the truth. My home had been turned into an illegal casino. That realization hit harder than the betrayal itself. The place where my wife and I raised our daughter, where birthdays were celebrated and memories were built, was now a playground for criminals. I watched as furniture disappeared piece by piece. Antiques, heirlooms, even my late wife's portrait vanished. They weren't just stealing my house, they were erasing my life. But the deeper I watched, the clearer the pattern became. My symptoms, the dizziness, the confusion, the weakness, they weren't random. They were controlled. I had spent years analyzing systems, and this one was deliberate. Low doses, consistent exposure, just enough to make me look unstable. They were poisoning me slowly and calling it age. Instead of confronting them, I leaned into their assumptions. I acted slower, spoke less clearly, and let them believe I was deteriorating. Behind the scenes, I reached out to an old colleague named Marcus, a systems engineer who owed me more than a few favors. Together, we turned my house into something Derek never anticipated, a surveillance trap. Tiny cameras went into smoke detectors, screws, vents. Audio recorders captured every conversation. Every transaction, every threat, every lie was documented. At the same time, I contacted my late wife's attorney, Danielle Cross. In one night, we transferred ownership of the house into a revocable trust under my wife's name, locking Derek out of any legal control he thought he had. When Derek realized his access to the property was gone, his calm mask shattered. He stormed into the house one night, furious, accusing Vanessa of betrayal. The argument escalated fast, louder than anything I had heard before. Then came the sound that confirmed everything had gone too far, a sharp crash followed by silence. Then Vanessa crying. I didn't hesitate. I entered through the back, moving slower than I wanted but faster than they expected. Derek had a knife in his hand, wild-eyed and desperate, dragging Vanessa toward the door. He wasn't thinking anymore, he was cornered. I had prepared for this moment. The basement had been reinforced years ago, steel door, internal lock, a safe room designed for storms but built like a bunker. I triggered the final piece of my plan. With one press, every hidden camera began streaming live, not just recording, broadcasting. Thousands of eyes watched as Derek shouted, as Vanessa begged, as the truth unfolded in real time. I used pepper spray when he lunged, buying just enough time to pull Vanessa into the basement and seal the door. We stayed there while chaos erupted above us. Derek and his associates tried to force their way in, but the structure held. I had designed it to withstand pressure, and it did exactly what it was built to do. By the time sirens filled the street, the entire situation had already been seen by more witnesses than Derek could ever silence. The police arrived in force, weapons drawn, commands echoing through the house that once felt like home. Derek was taken down, his operation dismantled piece by piece. Vanessa was pulled out in handcuffs, not as a victim, but as someone who had chosen her role long before that night. The trial was long, but the evidence was undeniable. Derek received life without parole for attempted murder, kidnapping, fraud, and elder abuse. Vanessa was sentenced to 12 years. She tried to claim fear, manipulation, desperation, but the recordings told a different story. Silence, agreement, participation. She had chances to stop, and she never did. In the end, I sold the house, not because I lost it, but because I refused to let it define me anymore. Every wall held memories that had been poisoned, just like I had. I bought a luxury RV and started moving, city to city, choosing where I woke up each morning. What I learned is simple but unforgiving. Family is not defined by blood, it is defined by loyalty when it matters most. I spent my life studying structures, believing strength came from solid foundations. I was wrong. Strength comes from knowing when to walk away from something that is already broken. And if you ever feel like something in your life is quietly collapsing, do not ignore the signs. Sometimes the most dangerous cracks are the ones hidden behind familiar faces.